all set up.
I just used to talking. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. July 21st, 2025 real estate meeting. I'd like to call to order. Roll call.
Ms. Henry.
Present.
Ms. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Watson.
Present.
Dr. Borchardt.
Present.
Mr. Conover.
Present.
Mr. Marston.
Present.
Mr. Hikes.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you.
Chairman Hikes, could I point of order us so we approve the agenda?
Yes, sir. I need a motion to approve the agenda from real estate meeting June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
So moved in second. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Henry.
No.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Dr. Borchardt.
Abstain.
Mr. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Marston.
Yes.
Mr. Hikes.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Next, we have a community collaboration.
Approval of the minutes.
I'm sorry, approval of the minutes.
We just did that. We did agenda.
I'm sorry. I need approval of the minutes for June 30th, 2025. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes from the June 30th Real Estate Committee meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Dr. Borchardt.
Abstain.
Mr. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Marston.
Yes.
Mr. Hikes.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Now we will have a community collaboration with community partners and stakeholders committee membership.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Regenbogen. There we go. Okay, thank you. I'm John Regenbogen, and I figured out how to use the mic here. I want to say hello again to everyone who I met and presented to, along with Molly Metzger. I think back in the February or March Real Estate Committee meeting. And I'm with the Housing and Incentives Committee of the Parent Action Council. Molly and I are co-chairs, and she had a scheduling conflict for this afternoon, so she unfortunately was not able to make it. But also hello to the new faces as well, to newly elected board members. I did maybe just want to kind of go over a quick recap of our presentation that we made back in February. And basically, if you recall, one of our key recommendations was, advocating for very early notice from the city in terms of developments that are seeking tax incentives. The earlier that we can get notice, the more proactive we can be in evaluating proposals. I think since that meeting, we had a proposal from the Millennium development that we probably did not get a lot of notice. There had not been a hearing down at HUD's yet, but there could have been. If they wanted to rush that through, they could have passed that tax incentive before they went on summer break just a couple weeks ago. Fortunately, they had some other priorities and they chose not to do that. But timely notice and really frank discussions and partnerships with SLPS are something that we very much want to advocate for. And then in terms of evaluating the tax incentives and whether or not it's good or bad, generally we're okay with property tax abatement for affordable housing for our lower income families. We really want to house our students and transition students, and generally, that requires some tax abatement to accomplish that. But also, for senior housing and so on, we're generally comfortable with that. When we're talking about market rate developments, then that deserves a lot more scrutiny. And then also a question to ask is does it have to be a tax incentive proposal that puts the burden on SLPS primarily, or can it be spread out? So for example, in the case of that Millennium Hotel proposal, it has a significant commercial portion. Well, why aren't city earnings taxes and sales taxes and all these revenue streams that would be coming to the city being put on the table as a source of incentive that could put forward the program, and then that could lower the amount of property tax abatement? So that's, thank you so much for having these meetings on YouTube and accessible to the public. So anyone who has not been able to see that, I think it was on the February, I'm not sure the particular date, but the February meeting. But another request from that, or recommendation that we made with our committee, is that we'd request to serve on the real estate committee. We believe that we have some expertise, some good insight. We can provide a good voice from parents, to the perspective of how we develop our city. What can tax incentive reform look like? I think, joining, with the legislative committee, and I believe now maybe there's going to be a representative from PAC on the budget committee as well, is something that we felt would be good for the real estate committee. Shamika then has sent us, maybe a week ago, she informed us that we were scheduled in again for this meeting. Thank you so much. And then she provided some, I think was our very thoughtful questions, and it helps us go through kind of what we see ourselves as at the Parent Action Council and as a committee. So I don't really have any PowerPoint presentation, but I did have handouts hopefully everyone received. And kind of going over that real quickly, again, the specific outcome that we're hoping to achieve, bringing more parent input and involvement into the process. We're always seeking to grow our own membership or parents or guardians within PAC, to become active in the Housing Incentives Committee. So we're always working to have good input from a wide variety of parents and guardians. So we're always working on our process, and as part of that, transparency is very important. Protecting SLPS revenues and affordable housing, especially for our staff and families, is important as well. We feel that this aligns with the PAC's mission and the district's broader goals in several ways. Again, protecting funding. When we have our students housed soundly and securely, I think that benefits them tremendously, their families, the whole school environment, and learning outcomes. I think that students in transition, is something that's just critical for us as a community to focus on. It's a shame when we have so many students who are in insecure housing, and that should be a priority down at City Hall, that they say this is a travesty and we need to address this. And it is a crisis. And unfortunately, that's not always at the top of the agenda downtown. So hopefully we can change that. What experience or background does the PAC bring related to real estate development incentives or public financing? I think a lot, and I want to be honest. I'm kind of largely responsible for where we are today, because back in spring of 2023, in the wake of a public corruption scandal involving the tax incentive process, that eventually several members of the Board of Aldermen went to jail for, there was a discussion of how can we reform the tax abatement process to bring more transparency. When I read that language of what was being proposed in the bill, and it eventually became Ordinance 71620. I thought, why are we not getting a collaboration, getting input, getting discussions with SLPS in this abatement process? When 60% generally, give or take a few percentage points, of property tax abatement affects SLPS revenues. And this is unusual. Does not have to be this way. I would love to see, and we would love to see some changes down in Jefferson City to empower school boards to have more say over their revenue streams when it comes to tax incentives. We're not there yet. We'd love to see that, but there are still some things that we can do in terms of opening a genuine dialogue where City Hall respects SLPS. SLPS isn't there to just say no, 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 it's any incentive that comes along. But together, working together, we can strengthen our communities, strengthen our schools, and benefit everyone. And so I've been involved in this for quite a while. Several of our members, and I would say we probably have about 10 core members of the Housing Incentives Committee. I just touched base with one of our co-chairs of the Parent Action Council, and they think several hundred parents and guardians had been involved in some form of participation with one of the PAC meetings as well. So we're hoping to grow that, and we're always working on outreach and so on. But we have about 6 parents who are heads of affordable housing organizations, are very involved in their neighborhood groups. We have a college professor and public policy expert. I've been very active in community development. A long time ago, back in college, I got my law degree and MPA and focused on neighborhood development. So there's a lot of expertise that we have, and then we're rounded out by parents who may not have a specific background related to community development, but they understand the importance of centering SLPS in our development regime, and making sure that abatements are when they happen that they're for good reasons and for good projects. And we have some good communications people. So very pleased and very impressed with the number of voices that we have. Let's see. I do want to say, sometimes there are conflicts of interest. We may have someone on our committee who's working in portable housing, and there is a tax abatement request, to fulfill or to promote a incentive, a project that they may be associated with in some form. So we try to, to bring that to the fore. So that's again part of our own internal commitment to transparency and to ethics. Are we open to participating in training sessions? Absolutely. And we've provided many ourselves as well. I think maybe some brass tacks here. Number 3, role and participation on the second page. Is the PAC requesting a voting role or seeking to serve in an advisory observer capacity? We're requesting, I think, a voting role, but I think we would definitely be willing to serve in an advisory role as well. Some of those things may be worked out. Maybe, some situations we would have a vote, but maybe others, we would not. Also, we understand that there's going to be some matters that really, are truly, should be in closed session, and we probably shouldn't be involved in, like, anything that's related to personnel matters or maybe, some contractual issues. So we understand that. But in general, again, when we're talking about anything that's involving tax incentives or, affordable housing, we'd love to, be part of those discussions. We would have one primary representative that we would serve, and I think most people are saying, John, why don't you just go ahead and be that representative? But if I can't make it, and I generally am more available than some others, then we might have an alternate person. In terms of the PAC, yeah, we have monthly meetings at PAC. Summertime is an exception. A lot of us are trying to spend some quality time with families, and it's a little tougher. But we also then have monthly housing and incentive committee meetings. And you know, to be honest with you, up to this point, we really haven't talked too much about the merits of particular projects. Again, I want to mention that we're generally okay with you know, light tech projects, affordable housing for lower income, and good news is actually there's been a number of those in the past couple of years, and not too many controversial bills. But part of the issue we've been kind of you know, addressing is it's been very unclear in these board bills whether or not SLPS has even been notified, and that process has been just very difficult to kind of make sure it doesn't. You know, we need to get over that, and hopefully the SLDC, you know, is taking that more to heart, that they're not supposed to submit, no bill is supposed to be submitted without a clear indication in the developer proposal report that SLPS has been notified and if they've taken a position. And when you look at the actual board bills, only a small fraction of the bills satisfy that requirement. So that confusion has not been very helpful for anyone. And for us, again, it's just been something we've been trying to remedy that, you know, down at HUD's and the Board of Aldermen. So for example, I think kind of what we foresee if a you know, board bill comes up that we feel that we'd want to make a recommendation on, you know, we would discuss that and then you know, get that out to our members, and then ideally, if we have enough time, then we could make a presentation to the full PAC meeting. But you know, again, sometimes time constraints, especially when, you know, downtown the City Hall tries to fast track a bill, that's not always possible. But definitely, you know, trying to get a wide range of voices and input is our objective. One of the things that we learned, some of the people who've been more involved, is we need to talk about things simply, and how does a parent, you know, or guardian, you know, easily, who doesn't have this background, you know, kind of understand the importance and how the process works, and how does it affect SLPS and their family and their school. So we've been working very hard on that, not, you know, assuming too much prior knowledge. And I also want to be frank, a lot of the people down at the Board of Aldermen don't have an extensive knowledge of what's going on with board bills. They tend to rubber stamp, you know, and if it gets an approval from LCRA, you know, and the board bill sponsor, you know, they might be, okay, it sounds good to me. But when you sit down and, you know, you take a look, they don't really understand what the bill is all about. An example of that was a bill for Cortex. It affected SLPS revenues, and the bill sponsored, and this was back in the winter, the bill sponsor didn't even know that until the morning of the hearing down at HUD's. So there's a lot of work to do with explaining, you know, the process, and again, getting that true relationship between SLPS and City Hall in terms of evaluating projects. We are thinking also perhaps of, you know, having op-eds, increasing social media, and so on, being a little bit more vocal in public. And then past experience with PAC. Historically, the PAC has served on the legislative committee, and members of PAC have gone down to Jefferson City to you know, help advocate for the legislative agenda. I think that happens in January. PAC is 10 years old now, and that's been going on for several years. And then I believe, again, from what I understand, is one of our members, Teresa Daniele, also will be serving on the Budget Committee this year, I believe, from what I've heard. But that's just a generally, what we're up to at the Housing and Senate Committee, kind of what we're hoping for. Again, if we have a voting role, that would be great. If you feel for whatever reason, that maybe more of an advisory role would, maybe to start off with, that would be fine too. But if you have any questions for me, I'd love to help with those.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. Oh, okay. Hi, John. Thank you very much for your presentation. I remember you the last time you came, and I think it was maybe April timeframe. You may have come in February, but I know I was pretty new here. So
You were, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes, good
yeah.
to see you.
Good to see you.
I can't remember the exact month, but it was a lot cooler.
Yes, yes. I have a couple questions. I'm going to start from the back first.
Okay.
You said that you guys will have a representative serving on the Budget Committee. What Budget Committee are you referring to?
This is from what I heard from Teresa Daniele. I believe, and it may not be exactly the Budget Committee, but I think that's the name for it. I've heard that she was going to be on the committee. I might have stated the committee name.
It's the Standing Committee on Budget Equity and Transparency.
Is that a city committee? Is that a SLPS committee?
Board of Education Committee, yeah, Standing Committee. Members are Ms. Foster, Ms. Jones, Ms. Turk, Mr. Cummings, Ms. Johnson, and Ms. Daniele.
Okay, thank you. Second question. Where do most of your PAC members live? What county, what area?
Yeah, so I would definitely say we are concentrated in the South City, but not exclusively. And I'm speaking specifically of our Housing and Incentives Committee members, not PAC broadly, which I have less knowledge of. But I would say definitely concentrated in South City. And also I want to say many, not me personally, but there's a number of Man Elementary parents and guardians on the committee. And again, that's kind of how we kind of went more broadly. I live in the neighborhood, and I knew that there were several parents who were active in the development in affordable housing, and who were parents there. And I was like talking to them and say, hey, we should think about becoming more active, with PAC and having a committee. We're very cognizant of that. We want to broaden our representation from across the city and our schools, and we do have members, from schools throughout the city.
Okay. My second question, I guess my third question would be, how do you propose ensuring equity among your members, as you stated, ensuring that there's representatives and families and members from North County? And I'm new here, so I'm learning the counties.
North City.
North
Well,
City.
you could have parents and guardians.
Okay,
who
North
have
City.
a child, maybe through the DSEC program, or some others that would live in North County, but primarily we're talking about the city.
City.
Yeah, North City. Yeah.
I apologize
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, no, and it's an important question. It's something that we really, throughout whatever organization you are, if you're working in St. Louis City, you really have to think about how you brought in your representation and bringing in voices throughout the community, and especially our African American families, I definitely want everyone who's watching this and who's here to read that Good Jobs First report about the impact of tax abatements on our African American families in St. Louis City. It's a great read, and it's kind of a frightening read of the amount of lost revenues that we have here on a per student basis.
Okay.
So it's something we're working on, definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm very supportive of the Parent Action Council and would welcome their input. I've got 3 questions that are, I really don't know the answers to any of them. One, with the addition of Mr. Conover, we're now at 7 members, which is an odd number. So if we add 1 person, we'll be at an even number, which could lead to ties if everybody's a voting member. So I just wanted to point that out as a possible issue. And I'm not sure if having a primary representative but then an alternate representative is possible. I'm just not sure with the board committees, the way they're constituted, if you can have an alternate or if somebody has to commit to just being the representative. And then just the third thing is, this real estate committee discusses things other than tax incentives and affordable housing.
Yes.
So I don't know what the role of would be for those
Right.
discussions.
Yes, exactly. And we're kind of thinking, well, what would that process look like? And I think we understand there may be definitely some matters that it really wouldn't be appropriate for us to, weigh in on, like a contract or anything like that. So, we might, recuse ourselves from that or be excused and not even in the room. And then things like, I don't think we even thought about an even number of votes. We're flexible. Again, there may be, some areas that would evolve, and maybe we start out at a, with a formal role, but maybe it's more advisory, and then we move into, a voting role later, just, how it goes. I don't know if it's possible, to have an alternate, or if the designated representative can't make it, then for that meeting, then that's okay. They're absent. We're absent. We understand that.
Anyone else? Well, I'd like to really thank you for taking the time to come out, because it's important that the parents and the community have a voice in what goes on in the city and in our schools. So we really appreciate that you taking the time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Hikes. Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have the business, number 4.1, vertical bridge ground lease buyout opportunity.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Vertical Bridge owns the cell tower at Nance Elementary School, and currently they pay us $10,800 a year for that lease total. They would like to end the lease and instead buy the rights to use that cell tower at Nance Elementary School. They sent us 3 options. 1 is a lump sum, 2 is a 3-year structured buyout, and the last is a 5-year structured buyout. I actually asked Mr. Fiore at Vertical Bridge to join us virtually today to give us some more information about that.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I did send a letter of or an email in regards to 3 options on the buyout. Vertical Bridge isn't looking to purchase any property. We are just looking to have access rights for the carrier. We extend these offers to our landlords occasionally. It is, regardless of your decision, we certainly value what is currently in place. However, it does give landlords an opportunity to invest their money the way that they seem fit for their municipality, their state, or whatever. I'm sure you have lots of questions. Certainly, I can answer every one of them. But But again, regardless of your decision, this is something that we offer all of our landlords. Usually, we offer these when these towers and these sites commence in the beginning. But certainly, we want to make sure that we extend this offer to the Board of Education in the city of Missouri, St. Louis.
Is there any questions? Mr. Conover?
Mr. Fiore, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
I was just hoping you could give us a little bit more information on the general market rate for cell towers.
Yeah, so when we value these, we take a look at the amount of carriers on the site, who's on the site, if there was any terminations on the site. We can only go X amount of years because we're willing to take the risk for X amount of years ahead because of that simple fact that a carrier can vacate the premises at any time. And it's written in everybody's agreement. Unfortunately, there's a clause in all these agreements that the carrier puts in place where 30 to 90 days they have termination rights at any given time. So when we look at these, we try and extend them as far out as possible. Usually in today's current market, you're probably looking at anywhere from a 12, 13 times your annual revenue stream, and that's where you're at. It's based on economics and what we think and how long the carrier will stay in place. Really, it's based off of the three carriers, not Dish. Dish, because there's still some volatility in the company. We feel that when we put the offers in, it's mainly on the three strongest ones, which is Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T.
Understood. And then with the tower, could you, if we agree to one of these options, you'd be able to potentially seek out other carriers to be added to the tower. Is that possible?
Well, we always take a look at seeking out and what the opportunity is. However, you have pretty much everybody on the site right now on 134 foot monopole. Whether there's room to put another one on there should be 4 ports. However, we don't know if we're going to get T-Mobile, even though if there was an interest, or how long it would take. And that's really a factor that we put in place when we evaluate the sites and determine what kind of monetary offer we're going to present. All these things come into play.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just one quick question. Is this in a residential area or commercial area?
This is the offer is what we call USMO 5036. It's the address at 8959 Riverview Boulevard in St. Louis. I do see that you have other sites that we or could possibly take a look at monetizing those as well. But the one that came across my desk in the real estate development department was the opportunity for the tower that's the monopole that's located at 8959 Riverview.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
I have a question. Is this tower being used by our first responders? Meaning, is the federal government supporting, first responders to be used on this cell tower?
First of all, we always support first responders, and we never, if there's whether it's emergency services, FBI, or local municipalities, but I don't see any first responders that are on this site. Currently, I did see, I believe it was a Sprint that was a term, or AT&T, excuse me, was decommissioned from the site. Currently, there is Verizon and Dish.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? If not, thank you, sir.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Does the committee have an opinion on an offer, or do you want me to bring this back in another meeting?
Well, as of right now, I think it'd be in our best interest to take it before the board, before we give them a decision. I mean, I can make a motion to take it to the board so we can see whether we want to move forward.
Can we, as a committee, make a recommendation to the board?
Yes, we can do that. Yes, ma'am.
Could I, just as for additional information here, could we get like an internal valuation of what the value of the cell tower would be? I have no qualms with what Mr. Fiore said, but I also am not an expert on the valuation of cell towers. So just to get a clear estimate on what the value of that might be worth would be great before making a recommendation.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
That all on that topic? Thank you. Walnut Park and Northwest High School cleanup.
So the Walnut Park Northwest was part of our agenda item. For one, just to share visibility with the real estate committee, and also look at the costs when it comes to debris cleanup, particularly at our closed facilities. So when we had our contractor to go out and assess our facilities, and our contractors, just again for awareness, they mow and cut the grass every 2 weeks for our closed facilities, and our open facilities, they cut the grass once a week. For our closed facilities, particularly at Northwest, Walnut Park, and we have several others where we have, it becomes a dumping ground. So for example, at Walnut Park, we currently have, there's tires, mattresses, and then we do have to do a lot of debris cleanup, particularly around after the 4th of July. But just to kind of put it in perspective, just for the tire cleanup and for the mattresses at some of those sites, it ranges between $1,500 to $2,000. We did a similar analysis when it comes to board ups, whether we use plywood or the corrugated metal, and just to kind of give you a ballpark figure, and this would just be on the first level, meaning anything less than 10 feet. It would cost the district approximately $1.2 million, and that was last year's number, to go with a corrugated metal, and at least about $600,000 to $750,000 for plywood. So the thought, or just again, just for awareness, visibility, is particularly when we get these requests from the community around our closed buildings and the debris cleanup, whether they be from some of those items just mentioned, there is a cost that is not funded. We don't have any budget for our closed buildings in particular to clean up, let alone any board ups. So just wanted to bring this to the committee just for awareness.
Yes, thank you on that. And, you know, Northwest, that's close to Board Member Jones' heart, and unfortunately, I was fortunate enough to be on the job when they redid that. When they did that, we did Northwest a few years back. Well, more than a few years back, but for the school to be in this position right now is unthinkable. You know, because I was there when they redid the whole school. I mean, they brought new kids in there, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to put this on anybody. You know what I mean? It's just, we just gotta find a better way to take care of our schools. open or closed, open or closed. And I'm not throwing nothing at anybody. It's just that I visually saw. I physically put the ductwork up. I physically put the units on the roof, and now I see it like this. I'm heartbroken, you know, and I know that's not what we're here for today, but it's just we have to find a way to do better by our buildings. And I understand that what he's saying, that to keep them up is a cost, an underfunded cost, meaning it's coming directly out of our budget, And we're already going through this travesty of the tornado. So that just, as you say, compounded daily. But we're not making money. So I appreciate the information, and we just have to try to do better, I suppose. I mean, that's just my take. I appreciate the information. You have anything kind of?
Yeah, I just wanted to understand for this proposed cleanup, what the budget source would be for that, if you had a recommendation on that, Mr. Watson.
So currently, we use the vendor, the contractor for our grounds and maintenance. We utilize that contract to address those closed buildings, particularly when it comes to cleanup. Now, we do have a ground supervisor, and if they're able to, they'll remove it themselves, put it on a truck, a dump truck, take it to the warehouse, and then it goes into the dumpster there, just depending on the size and the load. But most often we use the contractor just because the debris is so much, particularly even with a tire. There's a tire in certain environmental tires, and you know, some of our buildings have asbestos. We get bricks on our facilities. It ranges, so it really just depends on what debris are out there, and we'll address it accordingly.
With the $1.2 million cost, is that already within the scope of the contract for the grounds providers, or is that it would be like an addition to that?
So that is not within the contract, so that would be an additional cost.
Understood. Just want to make sure I understood. Yeah, obviously echo what Mr. Hike said about the state of Northwest and the state of a lot of our buildings, and also echo that this is very near and dear to Board Member Jones's heart, so something we should definitely keep in mind. Thanks.
So, thank you so much, Mr. Watson, for sharing all of that, and thank you all for listening. It is vitally important that we have a plan to clean the buildings. We already have a stressed budget, and Mr. Watson shared that it would cost an additional unplanned $1.2 million to just clean it up. From there, we need a sustainability plan. What happens once it's been cleaned up? I'm so glad that we have brokers now, but right now, today, as it stands, we need to have a real plan for cleaning up our buildings that are unoccupied. And so I would like to keep this on the agenda until there is a plan developed for cleaning up our buildings that are unoccupied.
Superintendent, I agree with you wholeheartedly, because we can see where the community is not very happy with how some of our schools, unoccupied schools, are looking. So I will concur with you on keeping this on the agenda until we have everything in order so we can start getting them cleaned up. Anyone else?
Just a small thing here, and I honestly am not super familiar with this program directly, but I know there's a neighborhood stabilization program in St. Louis, and I wonder if that's something, I don't have any idea if we can tap into it, but if that's something we could partner with them on, I think that'd be really great for the long-term plan, which I agree we need. Again, I'm not entirely sure if they can help us with that, but had some familiarity with that program's existence. So.
Thank you. I also think we can also use our partners at the city, our partners throughout, who would more than likely be willing to partner with us to co-create a plan. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Anyone else on Walnut Park and Northwest High School cleanup? That being all, moving on. 4.3, decommission school demolition criteria.
So we've had some unstructured conversations around the demolition of our decommissioned buildings, and we need to have a list of criteria when it comes to demolition. So included in the information is criteria from the Supreme Court of the state of Missouri, just to give us a little bit of guidance, but we need to, as a committee, come up with a list to put our decommissioned schools on, to either demolish or decide what we're going to do for disposition.
Go ahead.
So just so I understand correctly, we need to come up with like a list of guidelines for demolition?
Yes.
Not like a list of schools to be demolished?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure I understood correctly. Thank you. Is that something that our attorneys could help us with the legal side of that, like presenting us a proposal?
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm like the guidelines, I would think if we had a company that was doing the demo work, shouldn't they already have that criteria set up?
Yes, but in essence, I want this to be created so we don't have to ask questions each time that we have
Okay.
a school that fits the criteria. We can kind of move the process along instead of it taking forever.
I understand, makes sense, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, so would the end result be a new board policy that would be included with our other board policies?
I would think so.
This advice from the Supreme Court is very helpful, so thank you for providing that. Yeah.
Is that it on that? Any more questions?
I guess, I wonder, I don't know if Missouri School Boards Association has a sample policy for demolition. I haven't looked, but I can check.
Yes, I'm sure we can check.
So I guess Chairman Hikes, I guess our request here is to get some sort of more like a formal policy drafted up for this and then be able to consider it as a committee and then send it to the board for policy. Does that seem right?
I suppose. So do we,
I don't know if we need to make like a motion for that necessarily, but just that we would like to see a policy proposal here for the board to eventually review.
okay.
Or we ask for a policy. I think we
Yeah.
need to sit down as a team, as a real estate committee, and as Director Henry has stated, what are we going to do? How are we going to look at demolition? Because a lot of our schools are historic. How can some of that historic brick, for instance, be retained, and how can we, as a school district, get that revenue? How do we make sure we are, when we're doing demolition, how are we looking at the environmental impacts, right? Is there a company that has the expertise in demolition in terms of in neighborhoods? Oh, because remember, if you're demolishing, a lot of these buildings and schools are huge. You know, how does that affect the air quality? How does that affect the possible ground quality? So I think, you know, when we're looking at consideration, we need to have some guidance. We do have the state law, but we need to be able to understand the ramifications from beginning to end, the full life cycle of a demolition project.
I would also like to just keep in mind that all of our historic buildings, we preserve our historic buildings.
I understand that totally, but we have to take into consideration what will we do with the buildings? Are we gonna use them for our unhoused children, or are we gonna, I'm just asking a question. because we can save them, but if they're just sitting there, then if, I mean, an unused building is still gonna deteriorate, unused. So when you say save them, I'm just trying to, evaluate the question. When you say save them, are we saving them for future use, or you just save them because they're historic?
They would be historical landmarks, and we'll go from there.
Good enough.
Okay.
Good enough.
So just for next steps here, because I agree with what Ms. Johnson said about having this more detailed idea about how we approach demolition. Is that something that we need to have? Like, I'm just curious what the next step is here, right? Do we get a presentation, or do we all
What-
need to get together and have
Well,
a meeting, or, yeah?
I would think, I would make a recommendation, I suppose, to maybe have a commit, as she stated, a committee meeting to move forward, on how we move forward. Did that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and that would be work of the real estate
Okay,
committee
yeah.
that would be led by Ms. Henry and those who are available to work on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you. That's helpful.
Thank you, yes.
So it sounds like we don't necessarily need any action from the committee right
Right.
now. It's just, okay, great.
Right.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next, we have adjournment. What about this text?
Yeah. I'll make a motion for pursuant of the revised statutes of the state of Missouri, 610021, to adjourn open session and go into closed session.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Dr. Borchet,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes.
Yes. Yes.
We are adjourned to closed session at 3:54 PM.